For the first time in its history, the AST Voltson Super Trucks ventures to the state of Pennsylvania. We're at the Jennerstown Speedway, measuring in at .522 miles in length and somewhat egg-shaped, with turns 3 and 4 being tighter than turns 1 and 2. This race has attracted a couple of one-off entries that we won't be seeing for the remainder of the season, and one of those entries qualified on the pole position. Rich Roy in truck number 29 will be leading the field to the green flag, with Silas White on his outside. Roy, the ASCC East competitor and SAR development driver, competing in this one race. He is listed as being from North Carolina, his state of origin, but he resides in Pittsburgh, not far away. Roy, in his family truck, is going to waste no time getting to work, taking the lead and starting to pull away right out of the gate. He leaves Silas White, the outside pole sitter, to deal with Brian Kelly and Matt Jacobs, as the three of them battle for the second spot. White and his team got off to a bit of a slow start last week at Piqua in their first race in the Super Trucks, but now that they've got their feet under them, they have shown a lot of speed here so far this weekend. Apart from Roy, the race leader, the other truck making a one-off appearance tonight is this number 06 Leonard, the Matthews Motorsports machine, being entered for this one race and piloted by Master Cup racer Carter Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, the Vermont racer, originally from the Thunder Road International Speed Bowl, climbed her way up the ranks, and with the help of Matthews Motorsports team eventually made her way to the top of American stock car racing. Still likes to compete on the short tracks though whenever she gets an opportunity to, including here tonight at Jennerstown. She started in 6th and is running in 5th at the moment, right in front of Wilson Timothy. Just ahead of her, the battle for 2nd has not been resolved, as Matt Jacobs is back on the outside of Brian Kelly and trying to sweep around both of them, but Kelly dives under the apron and whoa, hang on to it! Pushes up into Silas White and breaks loose through turn 3. That was a really ambitious move for how early on in the race we are, but they are all going to get away with it, as Fitzgerald joins this battle now, but eventually Jacobs would win out and clear White for the spot. Jacobs is coming off the best finish of their rookie season, as they scored a 3rd place finish at Piqua. They've been very fast in every race so far this season, even though the results haven't always shown it, and they're off to another strong start here tonight. Looking a bit further back in the field, we have Max Resner in this truck number 80, who qualified rather well by his standards, considering how his season has been going. He performed very well at MIS once most of the field had dropped out of the race, but ever since then he's struggled to find speed, and frankly struggled to keep the truck off the wall every time he's raced, but he qualified very solidly tonight, and is doing his best to hold position in the midfield. Not quite succeeding at the moment though, as Danny Vigo, running the new Milo livery, which is finally on the truck this week, drives on by, as well as Caitlin Holt and Juan Cortez, and the rest of the field, the rest of the back of the field, begins to put him behind them one at a time as well. Several at a time, actually, as both of the legendary motorsports trucks and Darren Gale drive on by, and things are only about to get worse for Resner, as he gets run over by Alex Robbins off of turn 2, and sent spinning down the backstretch. Robbins receives slight damage to the rear of his truck, but both drivers will continue. Roy leads over Jacobs and White to the restart, but off of turn number 2, the 29 truck is going to slow suddenly and pull to the inside. I think there's a problem with the leader's truck, as Roy is pulling into the pit lane. No, he's not. He's staying out of the track in turn 3. I have no clue what's going on with Roy's machine, but Matt Jacobs has just taken over the lead, going around the outside while Roy is struggling to get the truck back up to speed. That 29 truck bogged down really badly off turn 2 on the restart, as if something was amiss. I still don't know if maybe something is, but Jacobs has taken full advantage, moved himself into the lead of the race, and is pulling away from the rest of the field. Carter Fitzgerald gets around Roy now just a couple of laps later and moves herself into 2nd, as Roy, still apparently not as fast as he was on that first stint, possibly because he's been thrown off his rhythm, or possibly because of mechanical issues, we really don't know, and Silas White is the next truck to get around him, moving himself back into the 3rd spot. We got some 3-wide action further back in the field, as Danny Vigo finds himself in between Jason Miller and Daniela Jacobson. We're going to have to get used to these new colors on the 8 machine for the rest of the season. The silver and blue on his SAR looking very sharp here under the lights, but unfortunately not running quite as well as I'm sure he was hoping to, although it looks like he's going to win out in this 3-wide battle and move himself a little closer to the front. Jacobs has caught the back end of the field and is now beginning to put trucks one lap down, as they work their way around Morgan Christian and the 49 truck. Christian, struggling for speed this weekend as he has in most every race to which he's shown up thus far, but it's another one of the lap trucks that's going to cause a bit of a headache further down the field a few laps later. Dale Clow breaks loose off turn 2 and sweeps across the front of Danny Vigo down the back straightaway, and that's going to lead to a crash as he comes back up the track in turn 3. Vigo got lucky to escape that one, as Clow doesn't have much power under the hood of that truck, but applied too much of it off the corner anyways, slammed into the door of Vigo as he came back up the track in turn 3, and wiped out poor Juan Cortez, who had nothing to do with that. The 95 truck, unfortunately for Cortez, is done for the night, but Clow will continue on, much to the dismay of the leaders on the restart and of Rich Roy in particular, as Clow just about wrecks the 29 truck through turn number 1, and Roy smacks the wall really hard off turn number 2. I'm sure that Roy was hoping to make up for lost time on this restart and try and get back towards the lead, but he's only been set further back after Clow shoved him out of the groove and into the wall. That's going to give the fourth spot to Wilson Timothy, with Amberly Weiss making her way up the field, closing in on Roy now as she has just dispatched Andy Piper and Brian Kelly. Weiss has been running in the midfield for most of the event tonight, but is on the move here in the late stages, as she's looking for the 5th spot, trying to get around Roy on the outside now, but they take the yellow flag as the caution is out yet again. Weiss's charge has been put on hold for the moment, and to find out what the cause of this caution is, we are going to have to return to Dale Clow. Clow has been dragging Danny Vigo and Danny Richards Jr. straight to the back of the field, but it's Max Resner on the inside who's going to push up off turn 2 and put this entire group of trucks in the wall off the corner. Richards Jr. trying not to lose control, but they're going to go into the wall again in turn 3. This group of trucks was in a bit of a messy situation as it was, with Clow log jamming all of them, but it all went to pieces down the backstretch as Max Resner pushed up from the inside lane and put nearly all of them in the wall, and then most of them went into the wall a second time, with Flip Papadopoulos running over Danny Richards Jr. as Richards Jr. was trying not to spin that truck out. Vigo's the only one who got away from that relatively cleanly, but unfortunately he's still at the back of the field and with not much time to make any more ground back up, as there are only 6 laps to go on the restart, and Jacobs drops the hammer, trying to run away from Carter Fitzgerald and give her no chance to come after them for the lead that they've held for most of this race. Fitzgerald and Silas White have been the other 2 clear fastest trucks on the track, but were not able to close in on Jacobs during that last run. They've only got one more chance here as we are approaching the checkered flag quickly. Amberly Weiss, right behind them, however, is going to resume her run towards the front as she gets around Wilson Timothy and now sets her sights on White. Weiss had the best finish of her season last week at Piqua with a 4th place result. She's matching that at the moment, trying to do even better here today. But just ahead, Dale Clow is emerging from the pit lane at what might be the worst possible time to do so. He's going to join the track right with the leaders. Jacobs and Fitzgerald get around him just in time, but White is now going to have to find his way around the 00 truck, and that's going to cost him time that he cannot afford to lose with this few laps remaining. Fitzgerald is there, having closed into the back of Matt Jacobs and undone that big lead that they opened up on the restart, but I think that Jacobs may have just had a poor last couple of corners, because through turns 1 and 2, they're going to start running away from the 06 truck again, and just like that, they have their big lead back. Jacobs' truck has evidently been handling like a dream all night long, and the young racer from Kansas has taken full advantage of the opportunity. Working the final lap of the race now, Matt Jacobs and their team Heartland Racing both come from a dirt track background and a long ways off from the Midwestern Great Lakes states where most of the teams are based, but they have adapted very quickly and very well to the pavement, and now, rounding the final corner, Matt Jacobs takes the checkered flag and wins at Jennerstown Speedway. With this victory tonight, Jacobs becomes the first driver to have won a race in both the National Dirt Trucks and the Voltson Super Trucks, with them and their team having won the race at 7077 Speedway for the NDT earlier this spring. Matthews Motorsports team puts all of their short track expertise to great use tonight, as Carter Fitzgerald brings the truck home in 2nd place in her only scheduled appearance of the season. Silas White scores a podium result in just their 2nd start on the year, and Amberly Weiss finishes in 4th for the 2nd week consecutive. This is only the 2nd time all year that Wilson Timothy has finished somewhere other than 6th. Tonight he ends the race ranked in position number 5. Rich Roy, after starting from the pole, finishes in 6th place in his only Super Truck start of the season, with Caitlin Holt having recovered from a slow start to the race to finish in 7th. Believe it or not, this 8th place finish is the first top 10 of the season for Brian Kelly and the number 6 team, and they will be looking to improve even further from here, I'm sure. Jason Miller recovers from what was a bit of a slow start to his own race to finish in 9th, and Tiffany Rogers ends the night ranked in the 10th position, scoring her first top 10 results since her podium effort at Michigan International Speedway.